Welcome back, SethBling here. Today I want to show you something I call a Minecart recall network. This is a network made up of intersections and terminals, which are modular units that can be put together however you'd like. They can be as far apart or as close together as you'd like, and in any configuration that you'd like. First, before I explain, how it works, let me show you what it does. So there's always one minecart, and in this case I'm using a minecart with a chest. And basically, at any of these terminals, there's a pressure plate. And if you stand on the pressure plate, it will summon the minecart with a chest. So it's going to take a second, but here we go. Minecart with a chest. And no matter what, it'll always find its way through the network to the correct terminal. So let's see, what's the farthest path I can get right now? Maybe over here somewhere. So if I stand on this pressure plate, no matter where that minecart is on the network, it'll take the shortest path. Well, it's a tree actually, so it's the only path, but it'll get there. It might take a while if it's pretty far away. If it's close, it won't take quite as long. Let's see. Here's the minecart. Let's do it one more time to show you. That was a far one. Here's a close one to show you it doesn't always take that long. If it is closer, it'll take a shorter path. And here we go. And so basically you can kind of have a storage minecart that you have access to anywhere in your base or whatever. This is more of a proof of concept than a finished product. I want to show you how it works. First, let me kind of show you how this breaks up into pieces. There are these intersections, and this is, you just used Bling Edit to copy the intersection a bunch of times. So in this network, there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then there are terminals. That's this one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I guess there's 10. There's 10 terminals, and over here we can see I have a two-way repeater. So you'll need these two-way repeaters if you want to connect things at a longer distance. But otherwise it's just a single rail and a single line of redstone with these two-way repeaters in between each pair of intersections or stations. So to show you how this works, let me go over here, and I've kind of broken it down. So let me get a minecart with a chest in it into my inventory. I just missed the inventory slot. The basic premise is when a minecart enters one of these intersections, this is, by the way, I'm showing you how the intersection works. When a minecart enters the intersection from any direction, by default it'll go around in this ring. Now, if you want to summon the minecart, let's say I want the minecart to go towards where I am right now, basically I need to flip this curved rail. And when I flip this curved rail, you'll see, since this is now curved this way, the minecart comes through. And so, so I have a lever attached to each of these, but we can control that with redstone, although I'm going to still use levers. So let's put another minecart in the system, and it'll go in through this ring. Now if I flip this lever, it'll trigger the appropriate rail, and whichever direction I want to summon the minecart towards, I can flip that lever. In this case, 2 of them need torches, 2 of them don't, just because of the way curved rails work. But if I flip this lever, it'll come over this direction. So that's the basis of how we get the minecart to go the direction we want. Next, I need to show you what a two-way repeater is. Two-way repeater is, well, it's a repeater that goes 2 ways. A normal repeater only goes 1 way, but in this case, if we flick the lever over here, that turns on, and if we flick the lever over here, this turns on. And this works by using the property of comparators, where if the side is a higher signal strength than the back, then the comparator won't trigger. And so basically, if we flick this lever, there will be a very high signal strength right here, which will suppress this comparator. And so you can see only this side turns on, allowing the signal to propagate this way without forming a closed loop, which would basically keep it on forever. And since it's symmetric, it works the same in the other direction. This design I just found on the Minecraft wiki. Here's a slight modification to the design. It works the same way. You have the comparators and the repeaters. The only difference is these pistons on the side. And so if I flick this lever on this side, it'll pass the signal through, and this piston will extend. And similarly, if I flick this lever, then this piston will extend, and also the redstone goes through. So this is a small adjustment which lets us basically determine which direction the signal is coming from. Now, by putting these two-way repeaters together with these intersections, we come to the final design. This isn't supposed to be here for the intersection. And the basic premise is there's 4 two-way repeaters. So you can recognize this is a two-way repeater, and we've got that piston on the side facing down. This is a two-way repeater with a piston on the side facing down, etc., etc. So there's 4 two-way repeaters, and they all sort of meet in the middle. And so what this means is, if we send a redstone signal from this direction, it'll get propagated out all 3 of the other directions. And not only that, but we'll also, if we send a signal in from this direction, we'll also trigger just this piston, but not the other 3 pistons, because this is the piston that triggers if the signal comes from this direction. But if the signal comes from the middle out, then that won't trigger the other pistons, but this one will get triggered. So if I flick this lever, you can see all of the redstone lines get lit up, but only this piston is actually fired. All the other ones are still retracted. And these pistons are connected to what I showed before, these redstone lines which control the curved rails. And so if I put a minecart into the intersection, it'll go clockwise around until I flick one of these levers, in which case not only will it request the minecart to come over here, it'll also propagate that request out throughout the entire rest of the network. So let's go over that again, because there's kind of 2 things going on. There's the signal going out to all of these other things, and there's also the minecart being requested down in this intersection. And so when I have a signal coming in here, as simulated through this lever, it sort of sends a request to this intersection to send the minecart off this way. And it also tells each of these other directions, make the same request at whatever intersection or terminal you're at. And so, and of course this works the exact same for all of these other directions. Doesn't matter which direction the minecart comes in from, whichever direction you flick that lever or you provide a redstone input, that's the direction the minecart's going to come out. So let's look at it in the network, because that'll be a better concrete example. So right now, I think the minecart, where was it? It's over here. So if we stand on this pressure plate, we can see it sends a signal to the 4-way intersection requesting the minecart to come this direction. This will also send a signal out all of these other directions. We don't really care about these other 2 directions though for now, because the minecart's over here. So it'll send a signal out through this direction. It'll go through the 2-way repeater. And then this intersection will also request the minecart to go, this direction towards where I'm standing right now. And it'll also propagate the signal out and all of the other directions. And in this case, the redstone signal will reach this block. There's a powered rail right here, which will launch this minecart off. And so let me go stand on this pressure plate, and we'll see that happening, right? So the minecart gets powered. It goes clockwise through this one and goes the correct direction. It goes clockwise through this one, goes the correct direction, lands right here. Now, since I'm standing on this pressure plate, there's a torch on the side which retracts this block. And that's why this powered rail was not powered. So it's a way of basically, if you're standing on that pressure plate, it's a way to keep that minecart from getting launched off again. But yeah, so that's a basis of how it works. It's basically each of these intersections is capable of managing a request from a single direction and propagating that request through the rest of the network. So just one more quick example. We want it to go this way, this way, this way, over here maybe. So we'll stand on this one. It'll request from this intersection to go this way, from that intersection to go that way, and from that intersection to go that way. And it'll also send a request to this terminal where the minecart's currently at to launch its minecart. And so there goes the minecart. It goes through that intersection. This one's going to go all the way around clockwise and go over here. This one takes the short path clockwise, and we get our storage minecart complete with all the TNT in it. And that's how it works. So that's the minecart recall network. And yeah, so these can be as far apart as you'd like. You just need to make sure that you have these 2-way repeaters at suitable distances to make sure the signal is going to get propagated both directions. And also you just need a minecart line. These can curve as much as you want. They can go up and down, everything. It's just, you just need to make sure that they have these 2 connections between every intersection and the terminals. Yeah, these terminals are really straightforward. There's not much to them here. Yeah, so this is really just a proof of concept, just something to get your brain thinking about what the possibilities are with minecarts and redstone and all that. That's about it. Thanks for watching.